Hello people, what is going on? Mr. Challenge guys coming at you here with a Dofus Touch Missive number 18 update. You guys know I had to talk about this. Misses, you know, they're a pretty big deal. For you guys who don't know, misses usually happen once a year. Typically at the beginning of the year, and it's kind of uncommon or the developer's way to talk to the community about like their ideas and their plan for the year and the state of the game. They're really cool kind of letter type of thing that gives a broad overview of like their plan and their vision. And I don't know if this is the first time, but this is the second one we're getting, right? In the middle of the year? Kind of crazy, but nonetheless, you know, your boy has to read this, has to talk about it, dissect it. You know how it is, guys. This is going to be maybe a long video, so strap in. Because there's a lot to cover here. There is a lot, and we are going to talk about it. What a missive already. Yes, 2024 has been an eventful year, and we got lots to tell you about. We try to be as transparent as we possibly can with you, whenever we can, whether it's with good or bad news. That's why we feel that the missive format is particularly suited to taking stock of things just over halfway through 2024. For those of you new to this format, missives are articles that appear at least once a year. So they're explaining it here. Taking stock of specific projects and giving indications as to where the projects are heading. Feel free to check out missives from January. Missives are also an opportunity to broach. I feel like they use Google Translate, and then some of like the terminology here trips me up because it just comes out of nowhere. I guess we'll roll with it. Broach other important matters and gain some perspective. Your expectations. To kick this article off, we'd like to do a debrief about the recent survey on the official Discord, which asks you to tell us about the top 3 things you dislike most in the game, and the top 3 things you might like to see in the game. If you missed it, don't worry, you can still send us your feedback via Dofus Touch, various social media accounts, and other channels, which are monitored by our team. Suggestions, for example, are featured in a monthly article. Yeah, so this is something I haven't talked about, but every month they kind of gather people's like feedbacks and they respond to it. Some of it a little softball stuff, but nonetheless still pretty interesting and neat. Note, the small number of respondents is not representative of the game's entire community, but we think it shows a general trend, and given that we already agree on several points, in any case, all of these topics are interesting points to examine. Yeah, I kind of would agree that it is a small number of the community that's kind of doing the service, that's kind of on Discord. But at the same time, Dofus. So my biggest like hurdle or like pet peeve with Dofus is like Dofus is very niche as it is. So the people who are into it, like they're into it, right? I don't think Dofus has much of a casual audience. Like you're either like in the know or you're not. And if you're playing Dofus Touch, you're kind of in the know already, right? But I don't know. It could be that it could be still a small number, and you know people who are playing Touch have no idea about the forums, Discord, social medias. Who knows? But I do kind of feel like Dofus is the type of game where if you're playing Dofus, you're kind of hardcore about it. Like there's no in between, right? Because if you're casual, you're not playing Dofus. To be honest, you probably would have quit, right? Like that's the biggest hurdle with the game. Where like the game has a lot of walls for casual play. Where like casual players don't even bother with Dofus. So just giving my thoughts out there, just throwing out there. But let's go into the top 3 dislikes. Number 1, bots. Yes, of course, we all hate bots. I've made a video about it, but let's see what they got to say about it. It's no surprise to us that they are indeed the most plaguing thing in the game. In recent months, we talked about this quite a lot. Here, and here for starters. I like how some of the humor is coming through on this missive. It's funny. Whoever put this together, yeah, props to you. Our responses are still the same as the person, so we will go into extensive detail here. We're constantly working on new ways of detecting bots and banning them automatically. See, and I think that's a big issue here. Like they want to kind of brush this problem off and not put too much. I don't want to say work to it, but too much effort into it, right? So their idea of combining bots is to make a system where it's kind of self-sufficient and automatically detects them, right? And I think this is where they're kind of tripping up, and obviously this issue has been plaguing Dofus as a franchise in general for 20 years now. And I think this is the problem. Like, just hire, like, literally just hire people whose job is to, maintain the health of your game. Yes, I know there's a bunch of servers, there's a big server merge happening, but really you need to take some manual action for this and actually like have people go in there's like monitoring the game, right? I think that would be a step in the right direction, because to say there isn't a solution for this I call BS. There are solutions to this, and it's how you tackle the problem, right? And we deploy these solutions regularly. We will be able to deploy new methods in the near future, but once again, this would only work in a short time, and we will have to be relentless about keeping on top of this. Unfortunately, there isn't a miracle solution for getting. No, there isn't a miracle solution, but there are solutions where you can mitigate some of this stuff. Again, they're looking into more automated stuff where they could just keep it running and not, people from America would remember this infomercial where it was like this toaster oven that would like roast rotisserie chicken. And one of the models that became like famous is like set it and forget it, right? So I think they need to take a more proactive approach to fighting bots, as opposed to just making some system where an automated system is fighting another automated system, pretty much, right? Because of the whole scripting thing. At the same time, we're also cracking down hard on players who support these bots by buying commas from them. Since the new servers opened, more than 800 accounts have been permanently banned. That number is much higher if you also count historical servers, which is good. Yeah, sanctions is good. It dissuades people, but like I said earlier in the video, I have made a video about bots. The issue is not so much about the bots. The issue is more about why are people buying commas, right? If you solve that problem, you solve the bot issue, really, right? So in tandem with having some kind of manual response to this, sanctions for players who are trying to, technically it's cheating if you buy commas, but also, take a look at your game design. If your game design is so simplistic where it could be botted, that's an issue. Right, because it's apparent to me like these resource guardians, right? They're a joke. They're a joke. Their AI sucks. Their AI is predictable to the point where you could have a bot fight a resource guardian, and that's the whole point of resource guardian, right? So improve the resource guardian AI, increase the randomness of the AI behavior, so it makes it less predictable, and that makes it, that gives another hurdle to botters and resource bots and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my thoughts about it. I made videos here and here about it too. I talked about it to length. I think if they just change their approach, I think if they change their mindset and the way they think about bots, I think they could find not a solution, but at least something that points to the right direction. Because, yeah, bots kind of killed a little bit of my enjoyment when it came to Epsilon, right? Because I was leveling my miner, my lumberjack, and it was bots. It was so hard to level up miner because, like, I'd be mining for like an hour, and at most I'd harvested like 10 ores. because all the bots were in there, and then you would report bots, and they would be there for weeks. Nothing would happen to them, right? Some of these bots would level up to like level 60, like uninterrupted. So yeah, this whole automated system, it's not working, guys. It's not working. Change the way you're approaching this. That's my feedback for this. Right, all those resources you're putting into developing your own system, just hire people. The 3 professions per character limit. Really, top 3 dislikes? Historically, we have been rather reluctant to change the system, considering that Dofus Touch is an MMO. We want to encourage interactions between players as much as possible, and the economy is its a beating heart. We're looking at other solution ideas, starting with a thorough overhaul of the profession system, which we'll discuss briefly later in this article. I don't think this is such a big issue. Like, this is more of a quality of life. I literally have multiple characters that just have level 100 profession on them. That's their only purpose, right? And it sucks because like I have pretty much all the professions at level 100, but because of the stupid 3 profession limit per character, I can't really advertise my other professions in the books, and I have to switch back and forth. And Dofus, PC Dofus, your character has all the professions on it. Wakfu has all the professions on them. I don't see the downside to this, right? If anything, more people would get listed on the books, and then people looking for stuff to be made have more options, have more availability. I think this is a win-win. I don't get why this is an issue. I don't get why this is even a top 3 dislikes. Like, just I remember when I logged back into my account, my PC Dofus account, they consolidated all the professions into like the character, and it gave me like these profession runes where like it had like the experience built in, and I would use it, and then it would just give me the equivalent of like the level I had on my other characters, on my alt characters, onto that one character. So they solved this issue already. And again, I think this is a big problem with the development team. They seem to operate in a bubble. Obviously, I don't think they play their other games, which is, I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. These guys work on the game. The last thing they want to do is go home and play Dofus, right? This is their job, right? But a lot of these issues they solved already, right? Just put the professions on one character and just call it a day. Everybody's happy. Like, this is not going to affect. If anything, it's going to stimulate the economy because there's going to be more people listed in the books. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on it. We'll move on. The Alliance versus Alliance system. Do I want to go over this? Because I don't really care for this. I know some of you guys there, the guys who've been following my channel for a bit, you guys listen to my podcast and my video, you guys know I'm not a big fan of the PvP system. Dofus Touch, I don't think a lot of people play the competitive aspect of it. Yes, there's a small portion of people who enjoy it, but considering that Dofus is a niche game with a niche player base, the people who are into PvP, it's a niche within a niche within a niche. So I don't know, maybe this is a French thing where it's bigger over there, but yeah, I don't really care. Alliance versus Alliance, PvP. The whole thing's broken, 1v1, OSUS, yeah, I don't care. So we're going to skip that. Interfaces aren't optimized enough. This work is already underway, as mentioned in the previous missive here. Initially, we thought we'd roll out changes over multiple updates. Unfortunately, this raises a number of technical issues, and above all, causes consistency problems and impacts the other uses on your side. Therefore, we're thinking about deploying all this in a single update with a massive beta phase. If we go down this road, it means you won't see the results in the game for a long time. Yeah, I would rather have that, honestly, instead of like little by little. That way, it's another point of activation when it comes to like marketing and bringing people on board, which I still got to make a video on how Uncommon kind of dropped the ball with the whole relaunch and stuff like that. I had a good start, but like I said, I made a video prior to the Epsilon server, and my biggest concern and my biggest issue was yeah, they're gonna bring in people, right, with the whole relaunch and English server, Epsilon, stuff like that, but are they gonna be able to keep them, right? Which they didn't. They didn't. Everybody freaking left. So they did a Missive number 17 here where they showed like a preview of the UI. It looks beautiful. It looks amazing. It looks slick. It looks clean. I would rather have this 100% finished and use this like another update to grab people's attention, right? Because already the screenshots it's beautiful. It really is. Look at that. Nice colors. It's very easy on eyes. I do wish some of the fonts were bigger. Just because, you play on the phone, stuff's tiny. Just accommodate for that. Just tiny screens. Because sometimes, I know the developers are kind of like anti-PC emulation and stuff like that. But if you're going to take that stance, then, make this more easier for people to play on their tiny, 7-inch phone screens, right? Yeah, I'm done with that. I am done with that. Wait until it's all finished. It's because certain graphics. Okay, this is because for certain interfaces we want to do a whole lot than just a visual overhaul. The marketplace, for example, might get new features. Just as you can see, we're clearly embarking on a new major rework. As you're unlikely to be able to see all this work incrementally, little by little in the game, it's also important that we keep you in the loop from the get-go. That's why we will definitely be sharing visuals of what's happening in the next few weeks, months, if we're able to. Yeah, like I said, just do little teasers, little previews to keep people talking about, and they act as marketing and promotion activations. So snippet, I can send it to I can send this to people. I can retweet it. Keep it on people's radar. It's cool. I like it. I like their approach. No complaints there. Top 3 wants. Ooh, this should be good. Top 3 wants. Change this to professions. Oh yes, this is another thing where made me kind of want to give up Epsilon because professions kind of suck. This is a much needed rework that we've been planning for some time. You'll still need to be patient with us because these are major updates and will therefore have a huge impact on the game economy and therefore on the game as a whole. There are lots of professions, too many in fact, and we will probably have to be merged. Resources and related recipes. We need a major update focused solely on this in order to get it right, and it might even take more than just one. Again, to reiterate, I think they kind of solved this on PC Dofus. If they implement that same kind of system over here, I'm fine with it. My biggest gripe with profession is that they are super grindy and they are not fun. They are not fun. Here are a few issues we are currently happy with. The number of excessive professions and the redundancy of some. Carvers, blacksmiths. Crafting. In conjunction with the previous point, the variety of recipes available for leveling up crafting professions. Yeah, this is ridiculous. This is freaking insane. To get to level 100. Ever since they did that whole recipe revamp, I don't know how people are getting their professions to level 100. Because before that, before they did that revamp, maybe it was 3 years ago. I wouldn't say each, because at the time I didn't have all the professions, but a lot of the professions, the crafting professions, had a nice recipe, a 5-slot recipe where it was made out of all harvested materials, and that made it so accessible because you just had to grind your other harvesting professions, right? And then you would eventually gather enough resources to, make, thousands of crafts, right? But since that rejigger, a lot of the recipes included monster resources now. And it's a huge pain. It's a huge pain. Like, getting a profession to 0 to 60 is easy, right? Because you can be self-sufficient with it, right? A lot of the a 2 slot could take you from 0 to 60. You need a lot. But I think when I was doing the numbers, I think it's about like 10,000 crafts or something like that. So when I was like really into it, I would like I would gather like 20,000 ashwood and 20,000 like chestnuts, and then I would wait for a XP Alchemax bonus day, and then I would drop down to like 7,000, and then I would just, so I got to the point where I would calculate how much it would take, and then after that, after I would hit level 60, I would do my my 5 slot all the way up to level 100, and that's all I would do. And that 5 slot was all harvestable. Like I remember miner, I think I was making like seller amulets, which just needed it needed like 3 like ores and like 2 woods, like yew wood and like maple, and then like some iron, stuff like that. That was good. Nowadays, I don't know how people do it. Recipe profitability. The low level recipes are a lot more profitable than the recipes that have been recently unlocked. The system of increasing the number of ingredient slots to dictate the level recipe. I thought they did that already. I don't know. Harvesting profession, access to resources and their distribution. The difference in quantities generated between low level and high level resources. The difference in harvesting time between low level and high level resources. Society a few professions, specifically hunters, fishers. Yep. Bonus. We're also thinking about fun micros. Oh, they said it, guys. They said the word fun. Am I on the nose, guys? Am I just that good? Or am I just lucky? We're also thinking about fun microsystems to incorporate mainly harvesting so they can level fast. Some little thing that makes it fun, makes it a little bit more engaging. Because again, think about like a player who comes in, right, with no knowledge of Dofus touch, because those people are important. Those people are the new blood for the game, are important for the health of the game. Right, they go through the tutorial. They do like the beginning area and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, I need commas. I need to go crying some professions, and their level of engagement or interest just drops. Right, I gotta chop trees. I gotta click on trees for like 3 hours, right, to like sell, and I gotta wait for it for. It's not fun. It is not fun. Profession dungeons. I was thinking about this too. A daily marker does focus on a resource of your choice, which can be completed on your own, which gives you access to a certain amount of chosen resources. In addition to some XP in the I think this is a good idea. I think this makes it a little bit more involved, a little bit more engaging, and this makes it harder to bots, right? Because you actually have to play the game. As long as the AI doesn't suck like it does now, those stupid resource guardians are a joke. Resource mini bosses. Yeah, maybe when you fight a resource boss, right? When you encounter a resource monster, maybe it spawns a boss, right? And you actually have to pay attention. It's like, oh shit, it's a boss. And then there's some obviously there has to be some kind of punishment to it, where I don't know what that is. Right, but if you're engaged with it, if you're engaged with your crafting profession, you'll be fine. But if you're botting your harvesting profession, there's some kind of penalty if you don't beat this boss, right? He makes you, I don't know, something happens. Multiplayer mini boss battles for players sharing the same profession. This battle would send out an invitation for the various harvesters area to get them to work together for better rewards instead of always competing with each other. I love this idea, cooperation. These are cool. Cool. I would like to see these ideas expanded on. But yeah, I mean, harvesting professions, I mean, that is kind of tied to the whole bot thing. So I'm happy they're talking about it and bring that up. Let's move on to the next section here. Dofus Touch, priorities, and staff. Priorities. Yes, in our comments, we regularly talk about not having enough time. And we know that can be frustrating. But it's a simple fact that Dofus Touch is a very large project and it's hard to please everybody. I agree. Between what you players want, what we feel is necessary for the game's long-term survival, what certain external factors require, and what we'd simply enjoy adding ourselves as a bonus. There's not much wiggle room. Yes, so they're pretty much saying it's a big, tug of war between all these different aspects, right? Appeasing to the players, appeasing to the game, because that's a thing, and appeasing to themselves, right? Because they want to, again, that word fun, it's going to come up a lot here. But, they want to have fun working on the game, right? They want to implement their cool ideas. So, typically, and to go back on this point, all the time we invested on chasing bots is the time we can't spend on developing new features or a new era. Again, I think they're focusing on the wrong aspects of bots. Don't, right? Just hire people to manage them. Hire people to manage. This isn't justifying it all, but this does have a big impact, and there are lots of other challenges we have to tackle as well, like the enormous technical debt on this project. Dofus Touch has been in development for over 10 years, and it's based on a game that has been clocked up 20 years itself. Yep. There are also the regular demands from Apple and Google, which require a lot of investment time just to be able to remain available on those platforms. Sometimes it's uncommon for wide projects or updates, such as the authentication system and certain transmedia content. Yeah, so this is something I don't think a lot of people don't grasp. Like the kind of like the technical mumbo jumbo that happens in between, not in between, but what happens behind the scenes, right? Of just being a app developer, right? Kind of maintaining certain regulations when it comes to Apple and Google. Some of you guys might know, whenever there is any kind of purchases via the game, Apple takes 30% of that. So when you buy a cosmetic for $10, Apple takes three of that $10, and then they take, Uncommon takes 7, right? And then of course tax. I don't know how taxes work in France and stuff like that. So all this stuff is chipping away at them. But yeah, a lot of stuff just happens. A lot of people don't kind of pay attention to this stuff, but yeah, they're just bringing it to people's attention here. So far, we've also been focusing our attention on the early. So far, we've also been focusing a lot of our attention on the early areas of the game. Albera and Asterix are good examples to help with the acquisition and retention of new players. Yeah, well, I'm not sure that's working out. Case in point, Epsilon. This arc came to a successful conclusion with the new servers last April. And all of that work is already paying off. As we explain in this article. What article is this? It would be very beneficial for Dofus Touch in a medium and a long-term run. Okay, so this... so obviously, when you talk a lot about points and results and numbers and variables, stuff like that, they are definitely coming from the perspective of the French community and the French player base and stuff like that, right? Which makes sense, right? This article is probably Google Translate. French guy probably wrote the French version of this, and they use Google Translate, and they just put this up there, right? So it might be the case where like Tilewan and Talok, right? Those servers are doing fine. They're healthy. Those were successful, right? But Epsilon was a different story. And let me see if we have here. Yeah. So one of the things why I was kind of disillusioned and why I kind of took a break from the game was because there was an update recently where it marked the Epsilon server as a international server. If you guys don't know, technically Epsilon is not an English server anymore. That only lasted for like 2 months. It is now an international server, and part of the reasons why I stopped playing on it is because at some point it'll probably get merged with Dodge and Grandapan, right, with the other international servers. So there's no point of going in there and struggling, fighting against the economy, fighting against the low player base that's on there, right? Because eventually it'll get merged. It'll get merged because the last few times I logged onto Epsilon, it was dead. I hate to use that word, but compared to where it was when I was doing the live streams, it was dead. It was dead. The buy sell chat, the recruit chat, barely anything going on. My friends list, I saw people stop playing. It says like, it's got this little thing where it shows they haven't logged in for like a month or something like that, a month or two. Everybody disappeared from Epsilon, right? There was a big hype rush, which I predicted was going to happen, and they didn't retain people. Especially, they didn't retain the English community. So, there you go, newsflash, guys. You guys didn't know? Epsilon is technically an international server now. So, there you go. So, I wouldn't say exactly it's paying off when it comes to like English side of things. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what happened, and again, I think I've talked about it at length, but there's something about this game where it needs a lot of help. It needs a lot of updating because it's another thing I've come to terms with too, and why I kind of slowed down with the whole concentration on this is Dofus as a franchise. It's just going to be a niche game, and that's just the way it has always been. That's how it is now, and that's how it will be. Truth be told, like when they talk about balancing, when they talk about like the recipes and the amount of resources required, and the resources required to craft gear, right, and the amount of kind of like grind you're gonna have to do. A lot of these numbers, variables, and these like baseline stuff is set based on a healthy player base and a healthy population that's playing the games, which is the case on the French servers, right? I'm sure the French servers are fine. If you make a new account, the French servers, there's people playing at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. There are people everywhere. People are really engaging with the game, right? It's a healthy community, it's a healthy population, stuff like that. What became apparent with starting from zero and starting on the new server Epsilon is like these numbers, they kind of fall apart if the game is not at a healthy player base, right? The fact that you need 30 soft oak healing leaf to make one piece of the soft oak set, that might be fine on the French server because everybody's dropping them, everybody's putting them on sale. I talked about this on my video as well, where like the prices of that specific resource was literally 10 times less than it was on Epsilon, right? So that drop rate, that resource requirement made sense when you have a healthy player base, but it falls apart when a tenth of the population is playing the game where it's supposed to be at 10 times more, where all these numbers kind of make sense. And I'm not sure if that's ever going to be fixed, because again, they are French. This French game, French community, the French player base. That's a priority. The fact that they localize this in English, considering all the facts, it's kind of amazing, and I don't know why they do it. And we're lucky. I mean, of course, we're lucky that they do it, because the small community of English players that enjoys the game, actually gets to enjoy the game in English. But the fact that they actually do it in English kind of baffles me, because yeah, English is it's always going to be this niche community, and the whole opening with Epsilon was kind of like the last hurrah, right? Where it had all this hype behind it. They were soft launching the game, new English server, people rushed in, but they lost everybody, right? So the issues with the game itself, the issues obviously with the game itself, and I don't think it's an issue they are capable of solving without changing the fundamentals of the game. I don't think they're gonna do that, because another thing I told them too was, if you want to go after the Western market, you got to change the name of the game. Because already the name is kind of stupid, right? Once you translate it onto English, it doesn't make sense, right? It's not a hook just on the name itself. Right, so why would people even give it a shot when it has a stupid name? And then they were kind of hesitant on that, because their core audience is the French player base, and catering to that player base, and then kind of whatever happens there kind of trickles down to English. So I've come to accept that the fact that Dofus is just gonna be like this, right? Just small English community, tight knit. We're not the priority. We never will be, without major changes. So it is what it is. But let's keep going. I've been rambling for too long. Staff. We haven't discussed this topic since the game's launch in 2016. Just for reference, our production team is still fairly modest, with around 20 members in total, which is a good sized staff. Just like the game's performance, the Dofus Touch team has done nothing but grow over the years. For those of you wondering whether doubling the Cypher team overnight would mean to get double the content, if only it were that simple. Linear increase in staff numbers does not necessarily mean that the workload completed will increase in the same way. There are a lot of extras to consider. We think it's wiser to take things one step at a time and ensure that everyone is properly trained and integrated. Without disrupting our entire organization structure, our team is very close-knit, and we really want to keep it that way. And nothing beats working in an atmosphere like that. Also, we are supported by lots of other departments at Akama, such as communications, marketing, online services, ET, data, legal, localization, graphic designers, sounds, music, etc. And these departments aren't just working on Dofus Touch either. This is good. This is good that they have a nice, healthy team. I would imagine it's still kind of small compared to like the PC Dofus team size. But and again, like, I think as long as like the French and the Spanish community is strong, which, let's be honest, they're probably the ones supporting, financially, like the team and the performance of the game and stuff like that. The game is not going anywhere, right? I know Dofus Unity, it's around the corner. I know this year, I think, for PC. I can't remember if they're gonna have an app version of it ready during launch, but the game will be fine. The game has its own dedicated player base is huge, just not in English, right? So it's good. It's good to know that they have a nice, healthy team. They got people working on it. But let's move on. Hero system. Here's another recent survey we did recently. Oh, I made a video about this too. Focusing on the hero system, we'd like to thank all the players who took the time to fill the questionnaire, but especially those who have used the opportunity to give us a few more details about what they thought through the survey itself, but via the forum and Discord. It's still too early to draw anything conclusive from this or give you a debrief. Yeah, I think that was like last week or 2 weeks ago. We need a bit more time to think this through fully. One thing's for sure, it appears that a majority of you are interested in the hero system as of the writing of this message. However, this isn't an urgent issue, and it won't be a priority at the moment, as we believe there are more pressing matters for the game. Nonetheless, it's a project that we're very excited about. Most of the debate centers around drops. As for experience gained for heroes, that's something we could easily get on board with. Another point for the record this time, if such a feature were to be introduced, we would have to make sure each player could only use one hero at a time. Yeah. Give me 1 second, folks. I can drink some water. I made a video about this. I talked about this. I think the hero system is fine, even if it's just another character. I mean, Dofus Touch, it is smaller in scope with a maximum of 4. So if you could run 2 characters, that would be fine. I have no problem with that. If drops is an issue, I don't know, maybe it's an extra perk. Maybe the second character doesn't drop. I'm fine either way. Right? I think the big issue is that it's like, all right, so why do people multi-account, right? Why do people run a full team and stuff like that, right? It definitely makes it easier to be more self-sufficient. So if giving extra drops because you have the hero drop stuff makes you more self-sufficient, awesome. But if having just a character help you out in fights and overcoming like those quest fights or dungeon achievements, stuff like that, if that makes you self-sufficient, I think that's fine. I'm fine either way. I don't really lean towards one side or the other. Drops would be cool. Or how about this? Because I know I know when I made the hero video, I kept forgetting the name of the hero system in Dofus, PC Dofus. They're called sidekicks. So maybe you implement a system where you could have sidekicks, but part of the elite bonus pack is instead of a sidekick, you could have a secondary character. And that character acts as a regular character, right? So that's an extra perk for you to have another incentive for you to have the elite bonus pack, right? Because if they're worried about extra drops and stuff like that, the elite bonus pack does that already, right? It increases your drops by 150% or something like that. I don't know, maybe this hero he's got like a pocket system, I don't know. Maybe some hero comes with more pockets and they can only drop a certain amount into their pockets, or I don't know. They're the designers. I'm sure they can figure something out. But I think the hero system is something that would facilitate people and then keeping people in the game because people like to be self-sufficient. And let's move on to a brief update about later in 2024. September update, which is next month, guys. Whew, this year is going by fast. This update will be a special one because it will be introducing the content celebrating 20 years of Dofus. Rest assured, this will still be content you'll be enjoying in Dofus Touch, but we're keeping it a surprise almost into the last moment. So usually for us, So unusually for us, there won't be a beta for this update. Oh, that's cool. Like a little shadow drop. I appreciate that. I like surprises. I wish they did more of this stuff too. That's the reason why I don't do kind of like when they do like new new expansions on beta or like new quests and stuff like that. Like I like to keep that a surprise, right? Recently, I just did the Plantala, the paper Dofus quest. I know they came out like 2 years ago. I never did it, but I did it recently. I enjoyed it. I knew nothing about it, but the storyline was cool. It had a nice little. It was short and sweet. It wasn't too crazy. It was a nice hook, and then obviously there's the new black and white spotted Dofus that kind of leads into it, which I could go right into it because it's out now. I know there was like 2 years in between, but yeah, it was a nice little treat. It's cool. I like it. A live stream on the Comments channel will take place on Friday, August 30th at 3 p.m. Paris time to reveal the new content. And again, it sucks. Going back to the whole like English will never be a thing for Dofus Touch, right? It's not the main focus. Because even this stuff makes it really hard to cover. I know in Kama had like the Dofus life. Ankama Life and the 20th anniversary. It just makes it hard to cover when it's all in French. And I can't translate it to real time. I can't post it, right? So I'm excited for that, but not too excited because I don't know what the heck they're gonna be saying. This live stream will also be special since it will be coming directly from the Uncommon Convention. Perhaps some of you will get to see it from your seat in the venue. You know, I kind of want to go to this next year. That'd be cool to do like a vlog up there. I'd be the only American in the Comic Convention. I'd be like, what's up, dudes? Totally. In September, we'll also be celebrating 8 years of Dofus Touch through various events and competitions. 8 years. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. 8 years? That's pretty good, guys. I know there's been, I see comments popped up. Like, oh, the game's dead. What's gonna happen to Dofus Touch once Unity comes out? The game will be fine. Again, 8 years. That's 8 years. 8 years strong. It's going to 10 years. It's pretty good. I think I heard a stat where like most MMOs die like after like 2 or 3 years, something like that. But the fact that Dofus Touch, it's been kicking for this long is good. So it's going to be a month that is full of excitement and prizes. That's cool. End of year update. The 2024 schedule has been severely disrupted by the opening of new servers. Indeed, our plans were disrupted by the early merging of these and unplanned 1.64 update. What update was this? Okay, so this is where they merged the Tilawan servers and Talik servers. I think this was wait, does it say here? Automatic response on monster groups. Oh, here it is, folks. I'll even zoom in. The Epsilon server is now an international server. So there you go, folks. The dream is dead. The whole idea that the English community is gonna grow. It's going to be strong. It's going to be as big as the other communities. That the English community, actually, the English player base, it's actually going to mean something. It's going to have some weight to it. It's dead. It's dead. It's gone. Yeah, so this was the update I saw where it's like, the Epsilon server is now an international server. It's dead. So that's why I went back to Grand Pan. I was like, there's no point in playing Epsilon. Right? Why struggle? Why struggle so hard over there where I pretty much have everything on Grand Pan? So, yeah. Sad face. The merger of the historic servers will take place later than planned. We don't want to give you a new date at the risk of disappointing you a second time if we have to postpone this again. But rest assured that this merger remains on top priority and that we are well and truly working on it. Ideally, we want to do this soon as possible, although also this merger is a bit more involved than opening a new server a couple of weeks ago, especially in terms of the instance paddocks and houses, and also because of the market rates. The commotion in the amounts of Kenya mentioned in Missive number 17 has been delayed. Of course, it's been delayed. Everything's been delayed, folks. Everything. That's alright. That's alright. They're giving us an update. That's why, I let it pass. They're giving us an update. Stuff's getting delayed. They're giving us a look on what's happening behind the scenes. Has been delayed to a later update. It's sad news, we know, but trust us, the wait will be worth it. We're currently still working on this. Surely one of the most important content updates of Dofus Touch to date, to say the least. Also, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty big, substantial update. You know what? I'm down with that, because I truly enjoyed what they did to Astrobe and the whole quest line and the whole Silver Dofus thing with the Astrobe Knight. I don't know about y'all. I enjoyed it. I was a little bit bummed it got delayed and Astrobe and we got Astrobe, later than sooner than later than soon. I'm all getting jumbled up. But I enjoyed the final product at the end. And going, I'm paraphrasing here. I think it was a great Miyamoto from Nintendo. It's better to he said something along the lines of like it's better to delay. What did he say? He said something. It's better to delay a good product than to ship a bad product or something like that, right? So if this means Kanye update's going to be more polished, more focused, more stronger, I'm down for that. I'm down for that. We are still looking at rolling this update out at the end of the year, and with the beta 2, find out more in the weeks to come. So it looks like that. So September update. September is going to be whatever this 20th anniversary thing is going to be. Where are you? 3 dislikes. Oh, did I skip over this? Oh, I did skip over this. Oh, okay, we'll run back here. Hero system. Okay, so September update is going to be whatever this 20th anniversary celebration is going to be. And then Kanye will probably be our December end of year update. I'm fine with that. Let's jump up here to level 200 content. This is also in the works. And for the past few days, you've even had the chance to explore the new Dofus Island. We do understand that there isn't enough of this for everybody, and we've already have some other ideas in mind. To be completely transparent, we're between a rock and a hard place. Zone redesigns or new zones monopolizing a chunk of our teams for many months. Whereas your side, this content will probably keep you busy for 1 or 2 weeks at the most before you move on to something else. Let's be clear though, Dofus Islands absolutely had to be touched up, and we're delighted with the new content. But we don't feel like a simple touch-up is really enough. We'd like to introduce mechanics that will retain your interest over long term. That way Ascension Island does. So I love Ascension Island. Yeah, Ascension Island kind of it does kind of fill that gap where like that lull in between, right? Where like it gives you something to do. It's kind of like art. I like to describe Ascension Island. It's kind of like arcade mode, right? Where it's just you play for the points, right? Try to get the high score, and that's kind of the extent of it. Try to get on the leaderboards, and it's something for you to do in between stuff. So this kind of revamp takes even more development time, so it's a question of finding the right balance. So I have heard the complaint that the new area could be done within like an hour or something like that. I don't know if people are exaggerating, but the new island here, you know, we waited 2 years and you could do it in like 2 hours, pretty much. So that was complaining about it. I think the issue, I don't think the issue is so much that it's just the consistency of updates that we're getting, right? Because I'm fine. Personally, I'm fine if we get small chunks of content, but more consistent, right? If we would have got this right after, you know, the whole Kandala revamp stuff, this would have been perfect, right? But the fact that we waited 2-3 years for this is ridiculous, right? And I get it, you know, when you add stuff to the game, they want it to be meaningful and stuff like that. But maybe you do you manage the scope of this, right? Maybe you don't do a big of an update, but you do it more often, right? Because I do see where they're coming from, right? They probably, like I said, they've been working on this for like 2 years. This stupid Dofus Island, right? And for people just to beat it in like hours, it sucks. It sucks, but it's just, that's the nature of MMOs, though. That is the nature of MMOs, and this is what you're signing up for, really. So I think the issue is not so much about that, but the issue is just the lack of the consistency of updates, of new areas, new expansions, stuff like that, right? Because like I've said, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, like if we had something to do like every 3 months, even if it's small, right, something new every 3 months, I think that's enough to satisfy the hunger for a lot of hardcore players, like level 200 players, right? So something for them to come back, something for them to keep them entertained. I haven't done this content. I'll probably get to it this weekend. But like I said, I've enjoyed Plantala, but Plantala, I think I did it in, I like to pace myself too, so it took me like 3 days to do that. So 3 days, maybe 4 days. But no, I see where they're coming from, but it's just the nature of the beast, MMO, right? Just what's next, right? Update, people play, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next, right? And I think this is something they gotta to kind of acclimate to. And PC Dofus gets constant updates all the time. And I know they have Dreams over there, which is kind of their version of Ancession Island, I think. I don't know. But yeah, because it sounds like Kanye is gonna be another big update. And it might run into the same thing where like they're putting in so much work and effort, and people are just gonna beat it in a week, and that's it. But I don't know. All right, let's wrap this up, guys. We're gonna read the thank you part here. This has already been a historic year for Dofus Touch, and we'd like to extend our warmest thanks to all the players who have supported us for many years, as well as those who have joined the adventure along the way. Nearly 8 years, this project has continued to grow, and that's no mean feat in such a competitive and aggressive market. Yeah, I don't think people grasp the, this is a huge thing, 8 years strong for Dofus Touch, which a lot of people see Dofus Touch as this like little side project, right? Little thing that you could just ignore. It's a little thing where it's like, it's a watered down version of PC Dofus. But, you know, obviously, you know, it caters to a market. It found this niche. So, props to the game and props to the people who work on this. Rest assured that we'll give it our all every day, and that the entire team is truly passionate about this game. That doesn't mean there aren't a few mistakes along the way, and we apologize for that. If there's anything you don't like or that you do like, it's good to hear about what we did right as well sometimes. Or if you'd like to contribute your own way, please feel free to discuss things constructively with us and other members of the community on Discord and official forums. Our teams are always on hand to talk about ideas over, and these discussions are vital so that Dofus Touch continues to go in the right direction. It's all the more hopeful that we are currently working on the game and is going to evolve into over the next 3 or 4 years. Hence our recent surveys in various channels. We want to establish a large-scale vision so that we can give you updates that are in line with this. And to end this missive on a happy note, there's a code I can give you. Okay. Yeah, I think it was a good update, guys. I think it was good. Thank you for the team for doing this. Gives us a little, the thing about these, it gives the people an understanding on where kind of things sit, the pacing, and stuff like that. I understand what these guys are dealing with. Mainly because, I've worked in development. I've worked in that world. I know what it's like. So I'm a little bit more understandable. But most people are like, they have no clue anything about. They don't care about any of this, right? They just want the updates. They want the balanced stuff. Why is OSA OP? Right? Where's the content? The game sucks. The server sucks. The server's dying. Economy sucks. Right? That's all they care about. They don't care none about this. But again, this is the crowd. This is the crowd you attracted. So, so Ankama is part to blame too, because this is your audience, right? This is the people you're marketing to, because obviously casual people are not playing your game, right? It's a hardcore people. But that is it, folks. How long is this video? I'm sure this video is long. If you stayed until the end, I don't know. Just say you watch the whole thing and comment. And yeah, there is this code DEEPT2024 BIS. And that code gives you, if you put that in, it gives you a color change potion, face change potion, candy, and some fireworks. So make sure you pick that up there. But I would like to know what you guys think about this direction of the game. Obviously, the game is going to hit 10 years. It's going to hit 10 years. I still think they're focusing on the wrong things. I still think they need to get. I think. Should I talk about this here? Should I talk? This is a long ass video. I'll talk about it. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I think they dropped the ball, right? They had the right intention and they had the right idea when it came to the relaunch and Epsilon and stuff like that. But they're focusing on the wrong things. The whole Astro revamp, I think that was a step in the right direction. Because it was so that little chunk of Astrop, it was self-sufficient for the most part. It was digestible, it was accessible. It kind of held your hand a little bit. It didn't feel you lost. It didn't make you feel lost. It gave you a purpose, right? Which is like the silver Dofus, which is great, right? A+ for that. The whole little portion of that beginning of the game was good. I think a lot of people are engaged with it. I myself, you guys saw my stream. I had a lot of fun with it. After I got the silver Dofus, I was like, okay, what do I do now? Right? And then at that point, you're starting to get creep up to level 100. Your gear is kind of like you're outgrowing your gear. This stupid layers. They're freaking badly designed. Where the solution to beating them is you have to be over leveled, and you have to be wearing better gear than the gear you're gonna get for it. So there's no point to it. Like, there's still a lot of design aspects of the game that are very weak, and they still need to be tackled. And like I said, I think the developers, as much as I love them, as much as I think they're good, I do feel sometimes they do operate in a bubble. And because like this stuff's been solved. This stuff's been solved in PC Dofus and Whackful and even Waven, right? Right? What gives the player purpose? Gives the player meaning, right? What better way to do it than with Dofus eggs, right? These are the infinity stones of the game. These are like the trophies of the game. These are the things you're after, right? These are the things you want to collect. You just want to collect them because they're the thing, right? They're the trinket of the game. The fact that we're 8 years in and you can't quest for the Emerald Dofus, we don't have that storyline with Dark Vlad and that dragon, is ridiculous. And they paid for it. I honestly, I think they paid for it. I think they're paid for it for not having the main quest line done in place and in the game, right? And again, I'm talking about English side of things because I think story characters is what the English community is looking for to engage with, right? Because the gameplay is there. The gameplay is there. The gameplay is strong. It's unique. It's a turn-based tactical RPG, right? That's not turning people off. It's the fact that there's nothing to connect with in terms of characters, storyline, with the game. There isn't. They did a fantastic job with the whole Sparkling Dofus quest line, right? You learn about the Autumn Night, you learn about the Astrup and the history of the mercenaries, and it was cool. That was cool. The game needed more of that, right? The game needed to follow into the Emerald Dofus, and obviously subsequently into the other Dofus, right? To get them all together. Like, again, one of my big complaints of the game: who's the bad guy of the game? What is your purpose as a player, right? Outside of just leveling up in numbers, right? Which is fine, right? Which is fine for, I'm guessing, the French players. That's what appeals to them, and maybe to a certain extent to the Spanish players, right? Just leveling up, getting new gear, just pushing up those numbers, right? But I think for the English community, because the game has such a weak spot when it comes to this regard, I think this is their issue. That it doesn't have that carrot on a stick for the English players to stick with the game, right? Because, like I said, leveling up and grinding is boring. It's boring, and when I have a choice to dedicate a bunch of hours into, leveling my lumberjack or dropping 40 soft oak leaves, I could just go play another game. Or I could go play I could literally go play a AAA game for $60, and I'll probably have 100 times more fun, right? And the thing is, like, if you have engaging characters people can relate to, people will play and people will stick with it just for the characters, right? This is why anime is huge, right? This is why certain movie properties have a huge following. It's because of the characters, the storyline, the world. And the Dofus Touch has been lacking in that regard. They're focusing on like game development, right? They're focusing on building out the game and catering to their audience, which is fine, right? Because obviously it's working out for them 8 years strong, right? That's pretty good. But if you want to grow the game, right? And again, I think my take is that Ankama and the Dofus Touch team, it's fine with just being a game that's primarily French and Spanish, and then maybe a little sprinkle of English here, right? I think it's fine for them. They made an effort to try to expand it and to kind of break that mold and it failed because I just don't think a lot of the gameplay elements are outdated. They are archaic. The gameplay stuff that kind of worked 20 years ago, it just isn't a thing anymore, right? People don't want to grind hours, especially on a mobile phone where, it's more geared towards shorter play sessions, right? The mobile phone, you're fighting for attention. You got TikTok, you got Instagram, social media apps, right? All these things are fighting for Dofus Touch attention, right? And honestly, I would rather. I think a lot of the English player base would rather just browse Instagram for 30 minutes than to play this game. Like I think it's that bad where like they just don't have what it takes to engage the English community and the English market. I mean, if you look at other games, like even Genshin Impact, right? Like those anime characters, even like Riot, like League of Legends, right? People are fans of the characters, of like specific characters. And this is where the game just lacks. It lacks, like, for me to be a content creator, I've been doing this for 4 years now, 3 years, I don't know. I've been a fan of the game since early 2000, mid 2000, 2006. For me to be a fan of this game, and I couldn't tell you what Dofus is about. That's a problem. That is a huge problem. I couldn't tell you who the characters are, right? Yeah, sure, I can tell you who the classes are, but I don't know who the main characters are in Dofus. Right? I don't know what's the deal with the Emerald Dofus. I don't know what's the deal with Dark Vlad. Why does the Dragon Pig have the Turquoise Dofus and Safo has Turquoise Dofus too? I thought these were like unique items. Why is there two of them? Right? And then other supplementary stuff is in French. So even if you do want to be a fan of this world, of this franchise, you have to go so much out of your way. You have to put in so much effort. We're like, why even bother, right? And we saw that. We saw that with Epsilon, right? Everybody left, and they saw this too, to the point where they marked it as international. So yeah. In short, guys, I've come to terms where like this is the extent, right? It's the English community is not gonna grow. The game's not gonna all of a sudden have this burst of fandom in the U.S. where like people are fighting it, people are becoming fans because they can't, right? There's nothing to be a fan of, other than this is just a funny little game, right? And that's the capacity of it, that's the extent of it. It's just this funny little game over here, whatever, right? I know I'm sorry to end like in a down note, but I am speaking from the English community because even though I don't speak Spanish, I don't understand Spanish. I see those guys. They're doing an amazing job. The content creator guys, and I wish that we had that on the English side, and but yeah, like I said, like for Dofus to have a chance in the Western market, it needs to fundamentally change what kind of Dofus means and kind of appeal to that market, right? Because right now, it's been 8 years. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Even PC Dofus to extent, right? But that is a little bit bigger game, but it's still a niche game, right? To the point where Benjamite, he was an up and coming Dofus content creator. He pivoted. It's just not worth the trouble, right? It's not worth the trouble to be covering the stuff. It's not worth the trouble to be making content for it. They remove emulators for content creators, which I'm not mad about it or anything, but and again, that's another speed bump, right? Into kind of working with this franchise, into working with this game. Part of the reason why I haven't done any content is because like I don't want to be dealing with my phone and recording off of it and dealing with crashes and the phone overheating, and then I get calls and notifications. It's a mess, right? And that's what it is. It's just and that's the I guess that's the issue with this franchise as a whole. There's too many speed bumps to like it. They make it really hard to like this game, and it showed. It showed. Like I was super disappointed to see the state of Epsilon because the people were there. The people were there. That first month of Epsilon, it was great, right? It was probably one of the best times I had on Dofus in general, right? Just hanging out with people, just talking to people, doing stuff with people, seeing people running around, people asking to group up. It was cool. It was living and breathing. But for it to just fall off just like that after a month, and for them to just like, I don't, quote unquote, give up on it because the puzzle pieces are just not in place. They are not in place, and it sucks, and it sucks. It's just but it's just the way it is. You know, they got their own little French king, their own little niche, and you know, they're happy with that, right? You know, the game is doing. The game is doing well, right? The game's doing enough for them to have 20 people working on it, which is, you know, a decent sized team, right? It's a decent sized team. The game is doing well on itself. It's just English. It's not gonna get any good, guys. English side of things is just like this is it. This is it. This is what you sign up for, right? And it always, I get it. You know, it's just this is the way it is. This is how things are gonna be. You know, English is just gonna be this tiny thing where, you know, a couple people play here and there, and it's just gonna stay that way, right? Because you know, we saw what happened. We saw that and they put an effort on it. You know, props to them, but people didn't stick with it. People didn't stick with the game, and for all the reasons I've explained. But I think the big thing is just it's missing that story element. It's missing those characters. It's missing purpose for the player other than just let me get to level 200, right? That's boring, right? And it sucks because like I just played through. I'm rambling here, guys. Like if you guys tuned off already, that's fine. Whatever. I'm just letting my thoughts out there, how I feel about the game. But you know, I just finished playing through Plantala and getting that paper Dofus. I enjoy the storyline and the fact that people are not gonna experience that just because they didn't give the game a chance. It sucks. It's, you know, instead, you know, the game sends them to Wabbit Island, the stupid island with the stupid rabbits, which is so convoluted and confusing. It's frustrating, right? I get it. I get it, right? The game has the stupid, whimsical humor that, you know, my appeal. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just a French thing, and there's no room for it to appeal to English, right? English people, you know, they're playing what's the Raid Shadow Legend and Genshin Impact, right? It's a little more flashier games, a little bit more action oriented. But I don't know. I think the game is fine. I think the game is fine because you know, you see stuff like Fire Emblem again, the characters. Right, you got the waifus. You got the husbandos. Right, Fire Emblem, when that came over, what is it? Fire Emblem Three Houses? That game sold pretty well. The fact that it was a turn-based RPG had nothing to do with it. It had strong characters and strong storyline. Final Fantasy Tactics. Ramza, right? People love that guy. The main character for that game. But, yeah, one piece of... I don't know if they're going to watch this. I know they asked for feedback, stuff like that. But I would say flesh out the main storyline. Have a carry for people to follow. Right? Have that to be the people's purpose, right? You got freaking 6 eggs to work with. 6. And then even more. Expand your storyline, right? After that, right? But I think... the fact that it's going up to 10 years, and we can't experience the storyline. We can't quest for these Dofus, right? It's ridiculous, and I think this is part why the game never took off with the English player community. So that's my takeaway, guys, here. Because, you know, I've said it before, like, yeah, you could tweak all these little numbers, you could add stuff here and there. But at the end of the day, you're not adding stuff where people could be fans of, right? Yeah, you're teaching the car harvesting professions, but where's the character in this? Where's the fun in this, right? How can I relate to this on a personal level, right? Where's all this stuff? It's nowhere. It's nowhere. And what's a bit of an oxymoron too is like this is uncommon, right? They have this whole transmedia thing going on. They make comic books, they make movies, they make animated stuff. These guys are storytellers. And for the game to be lacking story for 10 years, it's a big misstep. So maybe they should hire some writers. I don't know what's going on. But all right, guys. I know I went to tangent. I know this video is long, but I just need to get that out there. I just need to get that out there. All right, but it's hot in here in this room. I'm gonna go to the beach. I'm gonna go enjoy life. Hope you guys have a good day. Hope you guys have a good time. Until next time, this has been Challenger EX. Take care of yourself and peace.